Candidate Forum, sponsored by the Niagara Falls chapter of the NAACP and the Niagara Gazette. I'm Rick Pfeiffer. I'm a reporter with the Niagara Gazette. I will serve as your moderator tonight. Our questioners will be Niagara Gazette reporter Mark Scheer and NAACP official Renee Kimball. I thought you paused me. Okay. Let me explain just very quickly what the ground rules are tonight. We have five candidates. 3 candidates are unable to attend. The candidates who are unable to attend, we will send them questions and you can read their answers later this week in the Niagara Gazette. For those who are here, let me introduce them. John Accardo, Tanya Barone, Vincent Cawley, John Kinney, and Dante Miles. The candidates will each get 2 minutes to make an opening statement to you. They will also have 2 minutes to make a closing statement to you. In between the questions from our questioners, they will have 1 minute to provide answers to the questions. We will provide no opportunity for rebuttal. We do ask that you as an audience be respectful of all the candidates, refrain from yelling, shouting, or otherwise disrupting the candidates as they're attempting to answer their questions. We will give you plenty of time at the end of the forum to cheer and yell and shout and show your support for your candidate of choice. With that, we'll begin with opening statements, moving right to left. John Accardo.
Well, thank you very much, Rick, and thank you to the Niagara Gazette and the NAACP for putting this forum on tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Accardo, and I spent 40 years as an insurance broker here in Niagara Falls, and I am semi-retired right now. Nobody ever retires from the insurance business at all. I was a councilman here in Niagara Falls from 1992 to 2001. I was lucky enough, honored to be picked as chairman 1993, 1994, and 1995. And if I could tell you a little bit about myself, I was chairman in 1993. I was the first person to repeat as chairman because from years past, they just passed the chairmanship from one year to the next. I was the first one to repeat, and I think I'm still the only person chairman-wise that has served 3 consecutive years in a row. Somebody can correct me on that if I'm wrong. You know, the reason why I'm running for city council is that I think that the city of Niagara Falls is in a unique spot right now. I think that the table is set for some good projects that could come to fruition. I'd like to be on the council to make sure that those projects are completed. The event center for one, the data center for one. I like the projects that are happening on Main Street. And my pet project is the train station. I think the train station can give us some much needed working families in our neighborhoods. And I think that's going to be important to the revitalization of Niagara Falls in the long run. Thank you very much.
Tanya Barone.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to be here to speak among you all tonight. I'm Tanya Barone. I've been a lifelong resident of Niagara Falls. I'm a mother, wife, grandmother, homeschool teacher, real estate agent for almost 20 years with Howard Hanna. I'm a wildlife rehabber licensed with the state of New York for almost 20 years. I work with the organization here in Niagara County called Wild Critters. I developed a non-for-profit animal rescue in 2010 called Diamonds in the Rough. I was one of the board members and developers of that rescue that's still going strong today. I'm a community advocate. I've worked with the community for many years on many different levels, hand in hand, helping animals and people in turn. A concern of mine taxpayer dollars were not being spent efficiently and transparently. And I want to be a voice for the community, an advocate for all people, regardless of where you live. I'm here for everyone, and I want to bring some advocacy and transparency and accountability back to City Hall. Thank you.
Mr. Cawley.
Just in case anybody gets confused, I'm using my phone as a timer and not for notes. Just want to make sure we clear that up in the beginning. My name is Vincent Cawley. I'm born and raised in Niagara Falls. Lived here for 41 years, and I've seen nothing but decay and going down in Niagara Falls. And it's time that we lift that airplane up. Right now, we are in a free fall nosedive, and we need to pull that airplane up. Right now, we are on the wrong track. We're on a track where at the end of that track, very soon there is a cliff. And if we don't slow this train down, if we don't stop this train and reverse it, we're going to fall off of that cliff. If you go outside of in this building, you'll see places where it says, in case of emergency, break glass. Niagara Falls, I'm running for council because we need to break some glass. We need to break glass of voting in party lines. We need to break glass of voting for people because I know them, because they're my friend, because I saw them grow up, because maybe they sold me my first house. We need to break glass of thinking to get out this nonsense that we are in right now. A vote for John Accardo, a vote for John Kinney, a vote for Bridget Miles, a vote for Noah Munoz is a vote for the mayor. And we do not need any more of this
Mr.
nonsense.
Cawley,
Please continue.
we went
Thank you.
over the ground rules, no personal references.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I still have 30 seconds. So I love everybody. I love everybody. I'm not here to be a bully. I'm not here I'm just not here for nonsense. We have to get our city on the right track. We got to stop going down the wrong track and get on the right track, reverse course. That's why I'm running for city council. I'm an engineer by day. All I do is solve problems, and that's what I do. And I believe there's a lot of problems that can be solved in this city, from Main Street to Pine Avenue to downtown to LaSalle to DeVoe. Our city services, we need problem solving, and that's what I'm here to do. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Kinney.
First and foremost, thank you to the Gazette and the NAACP for hosting this forum. My name is John Kinney. I was born and raised here in Niagara Falls, too. I'm a 57-year-old widowed father of 2 boys who I've raised them here my whole life and would like them to continue to live their lives in Niagara Falls. I worked for the city for 35 years. I started off cutting grass, took a permanent job throwing garbage and sanitation. I'm a college graduate. I went to school while I was married to my wife at the time when she passed. I have a degree. It allowed me to go work my way through all the way up from, like I said, throwing sanitation to becoming the director of public works in the city of Niagara Falls. I given my life and dedicated my life to trying to make Niagara Falls a better place. Served on many boards and services throughout this city, coaching football, coaching baseball. I've been an active part of this city for many, many years. I look to sit on that council because of my experience of working with the city, being on both sides of the budget. As a union president, I scrutinize that budget up and down. As a director, I help put that budget together. I know that budget. I know where to look. I know where to find money. I know where to save money. I'm looking to be upfront and honest with the residents. If there's a question and I can get you the answer, or if I don't know the answer, I'll get you the answer. If I know the answer, I will tell you as best I can. There's going to be decisions made in the next couple years in this city. We've got to work together. I've been preaching this since the day I announced my candidacy. If we're not working together, we're going to stay divided. And if we stay divided, we're going to be in the same place we have been for the last couple years. Thank you.
And our only incumbent council member on the stage, Mr. Miles.
Good evening. I am Councilman Dante Miles, running for re-election for City Council. Once again, thanks to the NAACP and the Niagara Gazette for hosting this tonight. And so I am born and raised here in the city of Niagara Falls. And, you know, now my wife and I get to raise our children here. And that's one of the reasons why, if anyone has paid any attention to our my last 4 years here, why I'm so passionate about how I govern is because we have toxic governing here in the city of Niagara Falls. And this is not just something that happened recently. This is decades of toxicity that has taken place in the city of Niagara Falls, and we've been trying to find new answers using old metrics. I realized that we don't have 116,000 people living here in the city no more. We have 46. We lost over half of our population. And we continue to pretend that everything is okay. So singing Kumbaya and being, playing niceties in spaces where our city is deteriorating is not something for me to do. So I run and I become the person that I am in City Hall because of just that problem, the deterioration. And we can't continuously move forward if we're not addressing issues as they are. So I came to City Hall because of the lack of, when it came down to our resources, the lack of, the lack of services that we pay our tax dollars for. So my job over the last 4 years have been to be the voice for the people, be the voice for the people, allow everyone to know that you have a place in City Hall. This is not our City Hall. This City Hall belongs to the entire city. I represent the entire city of Niagara Falls. And I'm thankful to do so, but my family is my fuel. So the reason why I want a better Niagara Falls for all of us.
Mr. Miles, time. Thank you. Our first question from Renee Kimball.
Thank you. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for deciding that you want to run for public office. Running for public office is not an easy task. Serving as an official is even harder. And that's one thing that I know quite well. You never have the answers that people want to hear. However, I'm going to ask you some questions, and hopefully we'll be able to find out exactly where you stand on the issues. For years, residents have complained about abandoned and neglected properties, particularly those owned by out-of-state landlords. What new policies will you pursue to hold these property owners accountable and address blight in the neighborhoods?
Mr. Ricardo, you begin with 1 minute.
That's a really good question, and I know that's a problem that plagues the city. It's plagued the city for a number of years, and I think we've tried to put some safeguards in place, making absentee landlords have a local person here to be responsible for the property. I'm not sure if that's actually worked. I think we need better code enforcement in order to actually put some teeth into those ordinances that have been on the books. But in terms of the blight, I think that since the city now has upped its bond rating, we'll be able to go out and bond for more money, and by bonding for more money, we'll be able to tear down more blighted houses. And I think that's a good place for the city to be in right now. Our capital budget has not been very stable. Our finances have not been very stable for a long time. And I think now that our finances are stable, and Moody's and the S&P both have upgraded our bond ratings, I think that's an excellent opportunity for us to start tearing down more houses.
Mr. Ricardo, time. Ms. Brown.
I believe one of the main issues we are having in the city is the lack of employees in these departments. So when we don't have the employees to enforce the codes and be checking on the absentee landlords and the properties, it's very difficult to make sure that the work is getting done. Obviously, we know that there's a lot of houses that aren't being taken care of, a lot of lawns that aren't being cut, but I think it's a very big issue that we don't have the enforcement. I mean, when we're down to skeleton staff and there's not enough crews to go out and enforce the rules, then that's the major issue there, I believe. And the fact that we have a garbage company that we're not allowed to put out our garbage, we're restricted on putting out garbage, that's also contributing to the blight in the city. when we're restricted to how much garbage that we're putting out. So people tend to dump it in the alleys, dump it wherever in the middle of the night. I know that there's a big problem with the dumping, and I think that's because of the restricted garbage situation that we have here in the city.
Mr. Cawley.
Thank you for the question, and it is a very simple process to develop this city. First, we need, as both my fellow candidates said, it's an administration problem. We need the administration to get serious about developing Niagara Falls, and we need city council members to pressure the administration to get serious. How do we fix Main Street? How do we fix any dilapidated building? We go block by block, house by house, lot by lot, building by building. We call that owner. We develop a partnership with them. What can we do to help you develop it? What can we do to help you sell it? There's no magic bullet. It's developing relationship with developers, with the owners, building trust with each and every owner. And we develop programs to help landowners, to help owners develop their property, build their land, and that's how we go building by building to develop this city. Thank you.
Mr. Kinney.
When it comes to the landlords neglecting their properties, I was able to watch it firsthand when I was the director. It actually, I made the statement on a few occasions to people within City Hall and to residents. These landlords, we have to put more bite and we have to get housing court to be what housing court's supposed to be and really come down on them. Some of these landlords, their properties, it was cheaper for them to have the city come in twice a year to try to cut their grass. Because when they got billed, instead of them hiring someone to run their grounds and maintain their properties. So they would neglect their grass. They wouldn't cut their grass because the city then would have to be responsible to do it. We got to get out of the business of cutting absentee landlords' grass. Code enforcement. I mentioned this in the previous forum. Very, very understaffed. When you only have 1 to 2 people going in and trying to enforce code infractions, it just doesn't get done. They have, I think, 2 workers right now. DPW has 1. We need more workers when it comes to going after the landlords and the neglected properties.
Mr. Miles.
So for us to actually clear up that issue, first thing we have to do is we have to change the culture. So the culture right now in the city of Niagara Falls is we spend a lot of time having play developers, and we allow them to buy up all these properties and rent out. So I think the first thing that would actually help build that up, instead of having so many absentee homeowners, we start actually celebrating people who live here who actually wants to buy home, and let's start creating home ownership within the city for those who are renting, because we understand that rent here in the city of Niagara Falls costs more than any home, any mortgage that you could get. So until we change the culture and allow, and of course, yes, we need, to make sure code enforcement is doing their job. But of course, at the end of the day, we have so many issues there, short staff and so on and so forth. So if we can change the culture, then that would also bring people back here anyway, because if a culture is that the city of Niagara Falls allows people to actually buy homes and not put red tape instead of, red carpet, then people will come. So until we change the culture, then we're going to continue to have absentee landlords and landlords that live out of state, because we keep allowing people outside of the city and developers to come and buy multiple homes for basement bargain prices.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Mr. Scheer has the next question.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for participating. We really do appreciate it. And as Renee here said, it's a tough job, so we really appreciate all of you participating and getting involved. My first question is, I guess, kind of a basic question, but what do you view as the city's biggest challenge, and what do you think needs to be done to address that challenge?
We'll come back down the line with Mr. Miles.
Oh, nice. All right, so one of the biggest challenges within the city is, and I made mention of this before, we have a lopsided government. So what happens is we have judicial, for those of you who are fresh out of school, you will know this, we have the judicial branch, we have the legislative branch, and we have the executive branch. So we're running for the legislative position, which is in control of the money. The problem that we have right now in the city of Niagara Falls is that we have a legislative branch that caters to the executive branch. That means we have a council majority that caters to the mayor and his administration. So therefore, when you have an imbalance, we're doing a disservice to those people that we represent. We should be able to ask questions that when it pertains to our jobs and how we make sure that we're fiscally responsible. When you have a majority that leans to, one branch, and doesn't provide checks and balances. So to fix that problem, we have to go back into the city charter and change some things to give us the teeth and give us the powers that we need to have and that we once had.
Mr. Kinney.
I think one of the biggest challenges we have right now is that we are a divided city. I believe every one of the residents in this city truthfully love and care about and want the best for our city to grow, to be prosperous. But when we're constantly fighting amongst each other, instead of, and I'm going to say it again, working together, and if that means the administration has to step back and work with the council a little bit more, or the council has to step up and work with the mayor a little bit more. If the two entities of government continue to butt heads and not come to a conclusion and come together as one, we'll always be fighting each other. We need to overcome so that everyone in this city who wants the best for it will be able to get what we want.
Mr. Cawley?
So the number one problem is we need an administration and a city council that has an agenda that puts the residents first, that puts the taxpayers first, that puts the people of Niagara Falls first. That's what we don't have, and that's what we're missing. The administration doesn't have that agenda marked, and then the city council is backing up the administration, so therefore the agenda is not for the people, and that's why you get division. If it's for a select group of people, if it's for special interests, if it's for people that don't even live in the city, including some that work in the administration that don't live in the city, how can the people that live in the city benefit? How can we get together if the first principle is I want to work for the people, but the administration says I want to work for my own ego? That never will happen, Mark, until we get both branches of government on the same agenda for the people. That's when we'll get the city moving forward. Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I would say crime. Crime is number one. Crime is number one on the streets, and it's inside City Hall as well. We need 3 new council that's going to be ethical, transparent, and not only just work with each other, but sorry, I can't work with people that are doing criminal activities and unethical things. I will call them out. Just being truthful.
Mr. Ricardo? No applause, please.
I think all my colleagues here have some good points, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, but I think the biggest challenge this city faces is building a tax base. Our tax base right now is stagnant at best, and if we don't build a tax base, the cost of doing business or providing services for the city continues to go up, and that means more taxes on the backs of the residents as well as the business people. And if we don't start to get people to move into this city and start to raise their families here and spend their money here, our tax base is going to dwindle down even further, which now causes more blight in the city, more crime, more poverty. You've got to start to build a tax base here. We haven't done that in the last 20 years.
Ms. Kimball?
Speaking of crime, residents continue to voice concerns about gun violence. What is your plan to improve public safety and address the root causes of crime in the city, especially a rising concern over gun violence?
Coming back down the table, beginning with Mr. Ricardo.
Yeah, you know what? I think that all goes with what I just mentioned a few minutes ago. Poverty breeds crime, and the more poverty you have, the more crime you have. We've got to get young working families back into our neighborhoods. That's the answer to a lot of our problems here in Niagara Falls. Of course, we've got to be very proactive with our police department and make sure that they have the best tools and the best training in order to handle that kind of stuff. But again, a lot of the laws and the way criminals are handled and crime is handled, that's at the state level. And, we just have to do our best to make sure that our state representatives understand the problems that we face here. But poverty breeds crime, and we certainly have a lot of poverty around here.
Ms. Burrow?
I also agree with that statement, but I think it's important to give the community opportunities for higher education and willful employment that actually is a good paying job, not just an arena selling hot dogs. So we actually need to have good paying jobs that you can support a family here. I think working with the county legislators and the district legislators is a good opportunity to bring some of these opportunities to our constituents here. So I think education, opportunities as far as employment with good wage jobs would be a good start.
Mr. Cawley?
That's a multifaceted solution, well, a multifaceted problem with a multifaceted solution, Ms. Kimball. Number one, definitely need economics, definitely socioeconomic factors play into it. We need livable wage jobs. We need education. We need more activities for the kids to do, but also has to come from the city. We have to enforce laws in our own city. And the state is obviously made an impediment on some of that enforcement, but there are still things we can do. Our NFPD, I love them. They can still get in the community more. They can develop relationships with the people more, walk the beat more, walk the block more, develop relationships with the people in the community so that the first time a 6-year-old don't see a cop is when they're arrested. They can have positive interactions like DARE, when you have a cop coming into the school dressed in uniform, but it's a happy, positive engagement, develop that relationship so we can start getting kids off the street and out of that school to prison pipeline and get them back in school and develop better education. Thank you.
Mr. Kitty?
When it comes to crime and the violence and stuff, I worked in the city courts for a while. It was one of my jobs. And one of the terrible things that bail reform has killed is hurting us bad. It's handcuffed the police officers, not allowing them to do their job, which is terrible. We have a awesome, unbelievable police force here, and they want to make this city better, and they want to stop crime. They want it safer. But when their hands are tied, when they arrest someone, to have the person 30 minutes later walking the streets to go back to do what they just did, it's not a good thing. I agree with Mr. Cawley, the DARE programs in the schools. I believe it's one by the wayside, but they should be bringing that stuff back. I was born and raised to respect police officers. I met police officers. I grew up playing Little League football at Packer Court. Police officers were our coaches. That's where it started. They need to be taught, we need to teach these kids growing up that police are our friends, not our enemies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kinney. Mr. Miles?
So we can't talk about crime, of course, without talking about poverty. So one of the biggest things is, as we've heard, we need livable wage jobs, not minimum wage jobs. And of course, definitely more positive interaction between police and the community at large. The thing that we have to realize is that police officers, they respond. They don't actually stop crime. You got to remember that. You call the police when something happens, and then they show up. We don't have money to actually have a police on every single corner of the city to just monitor the city. So we have to understand those duties and understand that we have to create something that, which kind of goes back into the home ownership. So if I own a home and I have a very good job, I have something to lose. So I'm not gonna do nothing stupid that's gonna allow me to get arrested and possibly lose my home and a good paying job that's supporting me and my family. So a lot of these different things, they could actually be fixed by changing the culture and fixing the root of the problem, which is we need better jobs here and better opportunities for our youth and our adults as well.
Mr. Scheer?
There's always a lot of talk about the word transparency when we have races, any kind of race. Here in the city of Niagara Falls, I have personally experienced, the newspaper has experienced, a lot of issues trying to get public information, what we view as public information, out of City Hall. Councilman Miles up there has attempted to get some documents for some different things. He's been unable to get them. Where do you stand on communicating with the administration about getting information about the expenditure of public money, about decisions made with public resources, and those sorts of things?
Coming back down the table, we'll start with Mr. Miles.
So, yes, I have put in multiple requests for multiple issues regarding your tax dollars and how we spent them. I've asked for, specific checks that didn't look quite right. I've also, as of late, I'm quite sure a lot of you know about the tree situation. So we've been trying to get information, and the thing is and it's tough. It's an administration issue. It's an administration problem when, you have a council member who is elected by the people, who this information is supposed to be readily available to, that goes through the process, that goes through all of the, the protocol, and you ask these questions, you get zero answers. So there's nothing that personally a council member can do, and I'm not going to kiss up to anyone. So I'm going to ask for the questions, and then I'll make it public opinion at that point, and then we allow their residents, the people who elected me to do my job, allow them the opportunity to see what goes on, so then they're not voting blindly when the mayoral election and other elections take place later on.
Mr. Kinney.
I guess first and foremost, if we want to get the information it's not getting to us, we have to change the avenue in which we're going. If that means, it doesn't mean kissing someone's behind. If it means being on the mayor's office door 5 days a week until you get that answer, well, that's what you do. I mean, when I needed information as a director, if I wasn't getting it, I continued to ask, where are we going with this project? Where is this going? It lays more on both parties. You as the councilman has to go yourself if that's what it takes to get the information.
Mr. Cawley.
It is just an untenable situation, Mr. Scheer, if the administration doesn't want to give the people the information, which this mayor has done. So I bring into, as part of our powers, charter powers, that's already in existence, is the big S word. It's called subpoena. If that's what we have to do to get the information, then that's what we have to do. And that's where this election is so crucial, so important, to get 3 candidates who are not going to try to change their colors and be supplicant to the mayor, be a puppet of the mayor, be a yes-man of the mayor, that's going to fight to get the information. Whether it's subpoena, you get a majority of the city council that wants the information and is willing to build a bulldog. And I agree with that. Sometimes you may have to be a bulldog, which we shouldn't have to be, ladies and gentlemen, but if you have to be a bulldog, if you have to go to subpoena powers, that's the charter power designated to the city council as the chief investigators of our city. Thank you.
Ms. Barone. No applause.
So I believe in power in numbers. So what that means is there's 5 council members. We do not leave one council member on their own. We gather together and we knock on the mayor's door together. And if that doesn't work, we get the residents together, because it's their money that's being spent. Seems like illegally, and a lot of nepotism, family and friends plan, and it's unfortunate, but we don't give up. We keep the pressure on, and power in numbers, we take the power back and we get what we want. And if not, we go outside of City Hall to the Attorney General, the FBI, whomever we need to contact. And I'm not talking about a small number of emails, telephone calls. I'm talking about all the residents that are upset about the situation. We get them all together and we blast their phones with emails, phone calls. That's the only way we're going to get things done, because, like I said, there's no transparency, no accountability in City Hall. That's what we need to do.
Mr. Ricardo.
One of the powers vested in the city council by the charter is its ability to investigate city departments, except for the mayor. I think if you change the charter so the council has the authority to investigate the mayor's office, I think you'd see a lot more transparency.
Ms. Kimball.
What is your strategy to attract new businesses and investors to Niagara Falls, particularly small businesses? And what is your strategy to create new jobs? You talk about livable wage jobs, living wage jobs, but what is your plan to bring living wage jobs to Niagara Falls?
Mr. Ricardo.
You know, that's another good question. And one of the things that, I go around the city and I talk to a lot of different people, and nobody's mentioning Amazon at all. Amazon is going to employ 1,000 people in this community, in Niagara County. Now, granted, I understand that Amazon is not in Niagara Falls, but it's on the other side of Lockport Road. I mean, I would consider that to be Niagara Falls. There's going to be 1,000 decent-paying jobs there, I would imagine. I think it's important that those people, and you could talk about the casino and you could talk about Memorial Hospital, but I think it's important that those people see Niagara Falls as a place they want to buy a home and live. I keep mentioning this. We've got to have working families back in our neighborhoods like we had in the 40s and the 50s here, where everybody worked. And Pine Avenue and Main Street and Buffalo Avenue, they were all prospering. That's how it works. Money goes around in a circle. So, when we say we want jobs, and by the way, New York State is last on the list in terms of friendly states to do business in, okay? I mean, they're just last. And when you tie in a local government, with what a business person has to deal with in terms of with New York State, it's even worse. You got
Mr.
planning
Ricardo,
boards.
time. Ms. Barone?
You got my point.
I think we need to stop weaponizing our departments within our city hall. Code enforcement has been weaponized to go after and attack business owners, try to put them out of business, charge them $30,000 to remove a tree because the roots got accidentally cut during a project. And then people in City Hall, not specifically inside City Hall, but in departments, will go around laughing at that because they were able to charge them the legal limit of $30,000 to remove a tree, which is absolutely ridiculous. We are running these business owners out of town, our residents out of town. So as far as a plan to try to bring new business in, I think we need to start at City Hall and our departments and actually teach them to work with the people instead of targeting them.
Mr. Cawley.
Yes, we absolutely have to get a business-friendly climate. That does start with the administration, which is why these 3 C's are so important to hold this administration accountable to bring in new business. And once we get that sort of climate, I bring in new business for my company every day. Defense, industrial, commercial business. If we want to develop Main Street with stores, with an indoor water park, with a theater, with a hockey rink, a skating rink, we have to have a mentality where we want to partner with businesses, not take them to court, if you understand what I'm saying. So we have to meet them where they're at. They want to invest in us. We give them a climate. We give them a clean city, a safe city, a business-friendly climate, and you will see we get 8 to 14 million people coming here a year. It's not that hard for businesses to want to invest in Niagara Falls. We have to give them a package to roll out the red carpet, say, come invest in Niagara Falls. Thank you.
Mr. Kinney.
I've been in this city for, I said, like my whole life, and I watched big corporations or industry come in, and we give them huge tax breaks for, say, 10 years, only to watch that company close after the 10 years and leave. We have to, if we want that back, if we want to bring this in, to give us the livable wage jobs. We need to hold those types of businesses accountable and keep them here, give them incentives. Start working with the power authority, get that cheap power that they used to get back in the 70s and 80s. I know that's living in the past, but that's when the companies were here and that's when the companies were thriving. Small business. When a person opens a small business, as a residents, we need to support that small business. I've got a couple of good friends that open small businesses, and they struggle because they can't even get the residents of the city who say they want stuff and they want to be able to go places, but don't support them. We need to support small business.
Mr. Miles.
So one of the first things that we need to do is we need to stop using the same apparatus that got us in this position in the first place, and that apparatus that I call URA. That's urban renewal. They were the ones that came and tore down a lot of historical space in the city of Niagara Falls, and they promised all kind of different development. And the true story is they left us with what we have now, vacant, blank lots, and we're still having meetings today using that same engine to find new development. So one, that's first. So we can't, that's practicing insanity. Two, we need to actually start being more business friendly with the businesses that are open now here. Those who do business here, they can tell you that we're not business friendly, but we'll smile in front of a camera at all these fast food restaurants, and we get all excited for minimum wage jobs when we should we're behind. We're behind in tech. These young people, they're into technical institutions, and they're into like building like these different AIs and computer science and things like that. We leave them out, and we think that we're going to manage our city using old tactics and techniques. Heavy industry is gone. I don't care how much makeup you put on Niagara Falls. It'll never be pretty enough for it to come back.
Mr. Miles, time. Mr. Scheer.
The mayor's major initiative is the Centennial Park Arena and Events Campus project, $200 million project. Where do you stand on this project? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it'll work out for the city?
Mr. Miles, we begin with you.
I am absolutely opposed to the Centennial Park, and I've said it for multiple reasons. One, because there is no public nor private sector investment in this whole event center. Two, the mayor still has not been able to answer to me how will we pay the $9 to $10 million in just interest a year for this $200+ million project. Three, if we can't, Canada is not buying bread hardly from us today. Do you think that we're going to magically grab some, minor league hockey team from Canada, and we're going to magically pull all of their people here when they're not filling up the stadium that they're in right now? So at the end of the day, it's not showing that it's fiscally responsible. And right now, the financial burden is on our backs. Has nothing, all of the hotels that's saying, yes, 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 we need to have this event center, they're not putting up a dime. So it's the personal interest. It's a vanity project. It's a project
Miles,
that...
time. Mr. Kinney.
I think a downtown arena is something that we should have. We had a convention center that brought in many, many events over the course of the summer, the winter time, concerts, truck shows. My son was very fortunate to be a travel hockey player. We played in arenas like that. I'm not saying an ice rink is the most ideal use of an arena downtown, but because it's going to have so much more to offer than just an ice rink. It would become a center of a community event center, and that's what it is, an event center. It's going to bring in events. It's just not an arena.
Mr. Cawley, before I go to you, I'm going to ask the audience again to be respectful to the candidates and not speak out towards them. If you have questions for the candidates individually, you can ask them when this event is over. Mr. Cawley.
I understand the sentiments of everyone. This definitely shouldn't be a divisive issue, not by party lines, not by people lines, or however you look at it. But you just look at the whole complexity of this, the management of it, the ideas of it, Mr. Scheer, the cost of it, the location of it, the execution of it is just, we are going to lose as a city if this project even gets started. We're already losing because we don't know how much money we spent on eminent domain. Money's just going out the door. We don't know what services we're getting for it. We don't know anything. And that's before even talking about who's going to manage it, before a shovel's even thought about being put in the ground, and we're already losing money for it. So it will be the death knell of Niagara Falls if that Centennial Park gets started to be built. I understand the sentiment, I understand the nostalgia, but there are better things, and there can be better planned and better opportunities than spending $200 million of public money when New York State is already crying that they don't have money. It just doesn't make sense in Niagara Falls.
Ms. Brown?
Absolutely no. And I'll tell you why, and I don't have more than 60 seconds. But where's the money coming from? Where are the people? We can't even take care of a hockey rink inside Hyde Park. The doors got locked, and he was going to close it down till another business owner in the city stepped forward. What does that tell you? He claims that 1-point-some odd million are owed by the previous operator. How did it get like that? 4.5 years without a contract? Is this how we do business? I'm terrified what this means for the city of Niagara Falls, because if this project moves forward and we take that big of amount of money out, because look at the state's broke. The state is broke. SNAP, there is no more SNAP next month. There's going to be starving people in this city. It's terrifying. To think that we're going to go buy a concert ticket or a hockey ticket, and you know what the fact of the matter is? OHL won't even talk to him until he actually has an arena built, and we can't get any money promised from the state until he owns the land. He owns the land. What will that cost us? And guess what? They're going to have us exactly where they want us. Once the arena's built, they're going to name their price, and he's going to pay it. We're all going to pay it.
Mr. Ricardo?
You know, I have to respectfully disagree with my colleagues here. Right now, I'd be for the arena. And the only reason why I say that is because the location of it, you know, is conducive to the casino. And I don't know, I just down the road see the casino and the city hooking up to support that arena or that convention center. And right now, I think it would be a good thing for Niagara Falls. But you know, as somebody just pointed out here, the state is going to have to be a big player in it because the city can't afford the acquisition of the land and the building for the whole thing. So I got a feeling somewhere down the road the casino is going to be a big player in this casino operate or this civic center operation.
Ms. Kimball?
As you are aware, Niagara Falls is a name that is recognized throughout the entire world. Over 8 to 14 million people come to visit Niagara Falls. However, Niagara Falls has historically struggled to retain tourism revenue and has faced concerns regarding transparency in spending. How would you ensure that the city receives a fair share of tourism dollars from the state and that the spending is transparent and accountable?
Mr. Ricardo?
You know, for many years now, the state has captured the tourist market here.
I believe that's the air conditioning.
I hope so.
Thought we were being shot at.
You know, for many years now, the state has, taken all the tourists and trapped them all downtown and don't give them an opportunity to get back into the city of Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is a beautiful place, and the 8 to 14 million people that come here every year, I'm sure, marvel at the wonder and the beauty of Niagara Falls, like we all do here, you know. But getting those people back into the city and developing a tourist city or developing a tourist area outside of the parks is a challenge, and it has been a challenge here for as long as I can remember. We've got to do a better job at it.
Ms. Barone?
I think that we need to work on just our basics in the city, and that is cleaning up the crime, cleaning up the garbage, getting those tourists to move from that little isolated spot of our state park area and getting them to move further into the city. Because if we had a plan prior to this, we would have done it by now. There's been so many candidates before me, and nothing seems to be able to capture that money like we all want it to. So I think we need to depend on the city itself, not the state. But we have to start with the basics. That's just cleaning up the dilapidated buildings, whether it's developing some sort of program for residents to be able to have an opportunity to be a homeowner and, offering some kind of time constraints for construction and development of that specific building or structure that they purchase. But I think we need to depend on ourselves and not the state, and we need to get those tourists to move into our city. But the only way we can do that is to start with cleaning it up, basics.
Mr. Cawley.
Absolutely, getting back to basics. That's my rally cry. That's my call to arms, to get back to basics. Dilapidated housing, trees, lighting, safety, crime. We cleaned up that as a city. But from a state perspective, how about we reach out to our state representatives? If the state park is going to charge $50 for a bottle of water, how about Niagara Falls get a piece of that? Boom, every bottle of water sold, now Niagara Falls is getting a piece of it. How about we talk to the New York Power Authority? We get, instead of sending our power down to New York City and we buy power from Canada, how about, and I know I've heard the 99 years, I heard of that, but we got to scratch the old thinking. Let's go to the state and say, where's our money? Where's our cut? That's where we get a unified front of our administration, our city council, our county people, our state senator, our state assemblyman, and we go to the state saying, where's our cut? Where's our due? Give us what our city owes. And that money from the state, we do take care of the basics with the city, and we get to move the city forward and developing that money. Thank you.
Mr. Kinney.
To me, it starts with the state. People always compare Niagara Falls, New York to Niagara Falls, Ontario. The big difference, this province of Ontario returns the money that's raised for tourism back into Niagara Falls, Ontario, where the state of New York takes the money in pockets and doesn't give it back to the city of Niagara Falls. That's where it starts. There was a grassroots group, I think about 10, 15 years ago, called Reclaim Niagara. And they did exactly what Mr. Cawley mentioned. They said, let's take it $1 a car. They were claiming 17 million cars parked in the state parks parking lot. They asked for $1 a car. Do you know what $17 million can do to start building off of the state park into the city for stuff for not just the residents, but to the visitors to do? The state has to start giving back the profits of the tourism back to Niagara Falls.
Mr. Miles.
When I first got elected, that was actually one of the first things that I asked my colleagues and the mayor when he was coming to our meetings. I asked, were you willing to pack weekend bags to take a trip to Albany as an entire representative of Niagara Falls? So that means your state senators, your assemblymen, your county legislators, the mayor, his administration, and council. Because if you take the entire body of governing body to Albany and address them, it gives more of an impact than any one of us. So if one of us say that we're going to make that happen, then we're lying up here. So with that being the case, now if we're talking about really trying to get tourism into the city of Niagara Falls, there are so many handcuffs that we have. One is a height restriction that a lot of people don't know about. They won't allow you to build so high because they say, oh, it obstructs the view to Canada. I don't care what Canada looks like. I want Canada to see what Niagara Falls, New York looks like. So the problem is once we get rid of a lot of these handcuffs that has been placed years ago, this is not just recently, this is decades ago. Once we get rid of a lot of that, then we'll be able to move forward.
Mr. Scheer.
I previously asked you about Mayor Restano's Centennial Park project, and now I'd like to ask you about counter proposal in the same area, which is Niagara Falls redevelopment's plan for a $1.5 billion data center. Do you think this will actually happen? And do you think if it did happen, it would work out well for the city?
Mr. Miles.
So in the event that I would think that it would make more sense for NFR to actually create some programs that actually train our young and a lot of people to actually run these data centers, because it's lucrative and it's a lot of good money to be made out of that. But what I don't want is I don't want something built and we're seeking talent outside of the city of Niagara Falls to operate it, and they're making all the money, but the project is actually here. So to actually get some skills set up to train our youth and train people here to actually be able to run it would make more sense. Is data centers a thing? Absolutely. I've talked to people from different states that had made it clear, like Amazon, Google, all of these different, they're looking for places to store data. We have cool running water. That's something that's needed for data centers. We have power. All of the stuff, we have the ecosystem set up for it. We could actually be the leaders, but what happens is we find ourselves being bandwagoners and wait until other states do it first, and then all of a sudden we try to hop on later. That's not really a good look. So if it were to happen, I think it would be a great thing for the city.
Mr. Miles' time. Mr. Kinney?
I have no problem with a data center being built. And NFR has plenty of land outside of the little footprint that the city is looking to get. Build it there. If it's going to bring the jobs, then build it. You've had that land and you've made promises for 30 years. You've got something you said is there, build it. I think it's 148 acres they have. Build the center if you have it. It's enough talk. Put the shovel in the ground and build it if it's there.
Mr. Cawley?
I'm not an NFR employee. I don't work for them. I have nothing to do with them. Let's just make sure we get that clear, ladies and gentlemen. But you're not going to build on something if you know you're going to lose and the state is going to take your land. You're just not going to do it because the state is going to back you up, the government's going to back them up, and the land's going to be taken. With that aside, I don't want to go there. Mr. Shear, the NFR data center, the digital campus, is a piece of the puzzle. I don't want it to be the puzzle because it's not the overall solution of helping us, but it's a piece of the mosaic of the puzzle to get Niagara Falls back on track, because we need financial engines that's going to bring money to the city. They're going to use power. They're going to develop jobs. I don't care how many jobs they got, but it's just one company of multiple companies that we need, Mr. Shear, to bring jobs into Niagara Falls and to develop those livable wage jobs. They say 550, I don't give a rip. Divided by half, divided by 4. But it's the beginning of bringing industry back in Niagara Falls, because if there's flying cars out there, Niagara Falls has everything we need to be the first city to have them. Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I believe in the data center, and the reason that I do is because it's not our money. Okay? Let them build it, but let's put some time constraints on them. Let's hold them right to the fire. Make sure that they're doing what they need to do, because we can't be made promises over and over again and then nothing happens. But to me, these are two kids fighting on a playground. That's not a good look for our city. We have a man that's trying to take another man's land just at the right time of when they do want to build something. And time again, I've heard, the city placing constraints on business owners. They make it so difficult to build anything here. Let the person build what they want to build. It's not our money, but it's going to create jobs. And, it was funny because recently somebody said, I was bought and paid for by NFR. I guess $250 buys me? I don't know. But I just want to say, I think my price is a little bit higher than that because my friends donate more. No offense, but it's just logical common sense. It's not our money. It's going to create jobs for years to come. Let's just hold them to it. Make sure that they do it this time and stop all this nonsense of spending taxpayers' monies over stupid legal battles, padding lawyers' pockets, and making other people rich when we don't reap those benefits.
Mr. Ricardo?
I'll keep it real simple. Just build it.
Ms. Kimball?
There have been recent discussions involving pollution from Goodyear. And this is about the emission of the carcinogen alpha-toluidine, or OT. What would you do to ensure that the residents are free from this cancer-causing agent? What would be your plan to stop it from happening and to get the DEC to take this seriously?
Mr. Ricardo?
I think you sort of answered the question there. I mean, as a city, we've got to meet with the EPA, the DEC, and let them know our concerns. And obviously, this is a very dangerous situation. We can't allow our residents to be exposed to those kinds of toxics. And I think we make our message very loud and clear to those government agencies that we just aren't going to put up with it.
Ms. Barone?
I actually attended that meeting with the residents over the concerns of the Goodyear plant, and I haven't heard much of anything since. It seems things kind of fizzle out if we don't stay on top of people, and like I said, I think our mayor was not even in attendance. That speaks volumes. It was very disappointing because he has not made a statement against the poisoning of our people here in this area. That was very disappointing, like I said. But I think power in numbers. The only way that you put pressure on is gathering the people. And there was very little people at that meeting, which I was very shocked. I mean, we did have a good turnout, but not as many as I thought we would have. So I think rallying the people, getting more information out en masse to the people and getting them fired up about it, because I don't think a lot of people even realize it, that it's happening.
Mr. Cawley?
Absolutely, I definitely agree, Mr. Ricardo. We get our government agencies on board, the EPA at the federal level, the DEC at the state level. But then again, the same tune. I could just one guitar string. We have to get our administration serious about the people, serious about fixing the issue. I read reports, I write reports. We can take a look at all the reports that they put out, understand what their concerns are, what the elevation of levels are, what the proper exposure is. I'm as a city council person. I read those details and bring that information to the public and let them understand what's going on. But we got to get a city council majority that's going to go with the administration as a unified front of the city and go after Goodyear and any company that's going to pollute our air, water, and soil. Thank you.
Mr. Kitty?
We need to hold the DEC, the EPA's feet to the fire. If there is something really going wrong in Goodyear, then it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed now, not later. This city took a stain that has never left us in our lives with Love Canal. We don't need another Love Canal. I mean, it's not in the ground, but it's in the air. Doesn't matter. It's still part of the city, and it's still affecting the residents. It needs to be addressed now, not later.
Mr. Miles?
I actually attended the Zoom meeting, the initial Zoom meeting, and the in-person meeting. And what happens is this. I totally agree with a couple of my colleagues. When, the administration or the mayor does not show up for these type of things to show concern, it's been cancer. It's a cancer-causing agent that has caused multiple people to get cancer, and we've dealt with that again with the Love Canal. Is that not a reason to show up? I mean, we can smile in front of a camera again at a fast food restaurant, but we can't show up when it comes down to the health and safety of our people that live here in the city of Niagara Falls and that work here. And it's nothing against the people that work at Goodyear. They're just trying to make a living like anybody else. But the problem is that we don't care. We care, and we put more attention on tourism instead of the people. That's the problem. So until we get an administration and a council majority that cares more about the people than they do, the popularity, then we're going to have these type of problems, and we're not going to see any resolve.
Mr. Scheer?
Poverty's been brought up a few times here, and that has been a pressing problem for the city for a very long time. And poverty, of course, impacts kids. It impacts young kids. It impacts teenagers. Various times during this past summer, we had closed splash pads, closed pools, and this is a city that has unfortunately a reputation for not really having a lot for the kids to do. So what's the plan there? What would you do as a councilman to push for more programs, more activities for young people in the city?
Mr. Miles?
First, we need to actually engage the people it affects first. So we need to talk to the kids. And we continuously try to build stuff and say that they just need to come and do what we have built for them. That's not how it works. If we want to keep kids engaged here, we need to know what it is that they love to do, and then they'll come and do it. And I've mentioned multiple times, we have a Center Avenue Center that was torn down. We have a 13th Street Center that is no more. We have a YMCA that's a homeless shelter for men. And nothing has ever been reinvested back in those spaces that were taken away from kids. So what happens is these kids don't think that they're cared for in this area. That's why they leave. Once they get their education, and if they happen to stick around for college, once they graduate, they're on the first thing smoking out of here, because we have not set a stage for them to actually be prosperous and to move forward here in the city of Niagara Falls. So actually, we need to start talking to them first and stop thinking that we have all the answers ourselves.
Mr. Kinney?
The youth are our future. That's the circle of life. We need to get into the schools. We need to talk with these youths, ask them what they would like, what would allow them, what do they want that'll keep them here. You mentioned the swimming pools and the splash pads. It was unfortunate, at the other forum we had mentioned this. Yes, this pools and the splash pads were closed Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but the reason why they're closed is because we can't get people to work. We couldn't get these kids to work. We tried a program a few years back where they were going to pay the kids in high school and get them credit through Niagara University to be lifeguards. We got, I think, 7 kids that signed up for it. We need to start talking with the youth. We need to get them more involved a little bit. We need to mentor them.
Mr. Cawley?
We have some smart, resourceful kids in Niagara Falls, no question about it, of all ages, from 5 to 6. I'm in a lot of community groups. I volunteer my time. That's me getting involved in the community and knowing what they need. And number one is we need to bring some mentorship, Mr. Scheer, to the kids to get their minds right, because everything starts in the mind. It's your attitude, your belief, your thought patterns, your thought process of you are worth more. You are better than this. Let's learn how to behave at school. Let's teach them and pass on values and principles to help them succeed in life. And from a city and as a city councilman, I use my charter abilities that we have already as a majority. We get the right 3 people. We have the ability to set contracts, to set agreements, to make business deals, to do that with the majority. And that's why this election is so important. So we hit it from a community perspective, and we hit it from a city perspective of getting our kids engaged, empowered, and successful in this city. Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
It was truly disappointing to see that we do have resources for the kids, some resources, and they were not available. The splash pad, the pool, 91st Street was being worked on for a very long time. And once it did get going, it had limited hours. I think the hours were 12 to 5 and only certain days of the week. But I don't know if it's possible to get some volunteers. I know a lot of parents were even saying, hey, I'll step up, I'll, watch the kids. I'm there anyway with my kids, I don't know if that's possible to do a volunteer system, but just to make sure until we have some paid employees that are monitoring, but maybe certify them in CPR and get moving on allowing these kids to use some of the things that we do have. And we have met with the children from the high school, and we actually took them out after a council meeting, and we wanted to hear some of their ideas and their issues, and they said that they're so bored, they don't have anything to do, and they really didn't have any plans, and it's unfortunate. So I think listening to them more, like the others have said, getting some of their input of what they would like to see is very important. It's not just what we want, it's what they want.
Mr. Ricardo?
I don't disagree with anything that anybody said here on this council regards to this question. But I think as a council and as the financial responsible board of the city, you got to make sure that there's money available in the budget to keep those splash pads open or keep those activities open for the kids. I think you just make that a priority and you make that happen. An idea I had years ago when we were flush with casino money here was to turn the John Duke Center into a multifaceted facility where the seniors would, use it during the day, and then the youth could, take it over at night. But that money's gone now, and that's not going to happen. But you're right. There is no center. There is no YMCA, girls club, boys club, community, center city. What am I thinking about down there? Yeah. Okay. And you're right. The kids don't have anywhere to go or anything to do, and so that breeds trouble.
Ms. Kimball?
You all have all expressed it, that there is a history of frustration regarding constituents, council members, some elected officials, regarding a perceived disconnect between them and this administration. What would you do to ensure that residents would feel heard and that the city is effectively solving its problems?
Mr. Ricardo?
Several years ago, I thought this was a really good idea, and I can't remember who was on the council at the time, but I don't think any of the members here were on the council, and I could be wrong, but they had quarterly community meetings throughout the city where the council members, and I guess they invited the mayor too, to show up at places like this, and the public could come and ask questions and get responses. I thought that was a good idea, and if I'm lucky enough to become a council member, I'd like to reenact that same scenario.
Ms. Barone?
I agree, and I've attended many meetings outside of city council, and I think that it's important to keep the community engaged in getting their questions answered and some of their problems solved. And I think making yourself available is one of those ways. But I would like to see our speaking time from 3 minutes back up to 5 minutes, because I think that's the least that we can do to hear the residents twice a month. Our council meetings typically don't run that long. Some of them do, if there's a lot of items on the agenda. But I mean, I think that's the least that we owe. And I think that having like a summary at the end of the meeting to answer some of the questions would be great, because I know other towns do that. They compile a list of notes that they take during the meeting to show that they've been listening, and they try to answer as many of those questions as possible. And I think it's good for the people to know that they were being heard, other than people looking down, not paying attention when certain people go to the podium. I mean, they're sometimes ignorant to the constituents, and I think that's wrong. So I think that's some of the things that we can do to make things better in listening to people.
Mr. Cawley?
Frustrations of the people and problem solving. When I was on the council in 2023, and to give you an example of, you're knocking on doors, or your councilman, people reach out to you to say, Vincent, I have this tree that's been on my lot and it needs to be taken down. I would take that person's information, I would put that person's phone number and email send the email to the administration. Put them right under the feet of the administration. This person has an issue, that person reaches them directly, and that's how they got their problem solved, and I get many answers, and we'll get many issues solved that way. Because people are frustrated because we need a government, city council and administration, Ms. Kimball, that is focused on solving problems for the people, and we need city councils that's gonna fight, be the voice for the voiceless, that's gonna be a bulldog, and have an agenda that's going to be for the people and put the people first, and youth first, and vets first, and all different groups first. But it comes down to having a city council that's going to do it, and it's so crucial.
Mr. Kenny?
If I'm lucky enough to win election and sit on the council, first thing that I have to do is you have to be accessible. And being accessible to the residents, to the constituents, they're the ones that you answer to in the end. I'm very big on facts, and I always like giving the facts. And I've also like to give the truth. And there's an old saying, sometimes the truth hurts. And there's going to be times that you're going to ask a question of a council person, any one of us who will be lucky enough to win, that you're not going to like that answer. But I'm sure they're going to give you the answer that's the truth, and that's a fact. And that's what we need. We need to get the facts out there. I'm going to be willing to do that. I'll answer your phone calls. I plan on being at City Hall at least 3 to 4 times a week in that council office, answering the phones and answering the emails.
Mr. Miles.
So let me talk about facts. The fact of the matter is that our city hall, our local governing body, there is a disconnect. And there's a disconnect because we've made a culture that shuts the people down. We've went from having special meeting after special meeting because the administration don't want to hear your voices, could care less. So we would have special meetings then, and then I fought against that. And then all of a sudden we have cut the minutes down from 5 to 3. It's been 5 for I don't know how long, but now it's a problem. So we're going to cut it down to 3. And now you can only talk on specific items. And if I feel like what you're saying is something that I don't like as a chairman, I get to just shut you down and try to get the police to come and escort you away from the podium. I was one of those people that used to pound that podium from 2016. This was before I ever thought about running. So my thing is this, it's more of a culture. So if we want to know what the disconnect is, it's not about, again, singing Kumbaya and everybody getting along, because at the end of the day, I was the disruptor. I am the disruptor. But everything that the mayor brought to our table still got passed. So who's the real problem?
We are now down to our final question of the evening. Mr. Scheer, it's yours.
I'm going to try to, I guess, end on a lighter note. I would ask you all, what gives you hope? Hope is not a word we hear a lot in this city, and I've been here for a long time. A lot of us have been here a long time, and hope is not a word we generally equate with Niagara Falls. So what gives you hope at this point as you move forward, as the city moves forward?
Mr. Miles, we begin with you.
What gives me hope? 3 seats are up, and there are 2 people up here that I've seen for the last couple of years or so that has been consistent and that has been caring about the voice of the people. So for me personally, hope for me is consistency in the body. So if I'm blessed enough to maintain my position, and the 2 people that I've seen consistently, especially for those who have announced and did not show up until September, for me, my hope is that if we have 3 people that would be more than willing to stand for the people. And they have not only shown that in attendance, but they stood at that podium and they spoke up for the people. So we're not going to play the game and act like we're, everyone is here for the best reason. My thing is if you're asking me what is hope, I hope that the 3 people up here that have been consistent for the city of Niagara Falls and on behalf of the people make it in. That's my hope.
Mr. Kinney.
What gives me hope is, as this campaign has gone on and I've talked to different people, is the amount of people that truly, truly love and want this city to be the best that it can be. It gives me hope, and right here we have 5, but there's 8 people running, that we all are giving up of our time and our energy and our efforts because we want to see the city prosper and get better and be the great city that it can. That's what gives me hope, that the city is loved by the residents. The residents want the best, just as everyone who's sitting up here wants the best. That's what gives me hope.
Mr. Cawley.
Yeah, absolutely. So much hope. It's unbelievable. I wish I could put all the feedback, all the interactions that I've had, Mr. Scheer, with the residents, from whether they're of all races, of all creeds, all ages, just saying, man, we believe in you. We know you can do it. We know we need better. We know we're on the wrong track. We know we need to get off this track and get on the right track. And we have candidates up here that's willing to stand in the gap and to make that and bring accountability and transparency to our government. I have so much hope in the people of Niagara Falls. I know they're out there. there. They just got to come out and vote, and we got to give them hope, because I have hope already. That's why I ran. I have hope. My job is to give hope to everyone else, that there are people who won't turn their back on you, that there are people who will fight for you, that there are people who will keep their word. What I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do. So my job is to give hope to the people. I have so much hope because I've served a big God, but I want to give hope to the people, that there are real people out there that are running that's going to do right by the city. Thank you.
Ms. Barone.
Going door to door, speaking with the residents, I have been their hope. I will continue to be their hope. We need those 3 seats filled with good, ethical people that have values, morals, and cannot be bought, cannot be owned, cannot be swayed, because I've seen it running. I get numerous text messages, you can't say this, you can't say that. No, I'm me, okay? I'm going to continue to be me. So I hope that I can be and continue to be the hope for the people, because I know what the city is capable of being. We just have to get there, but we can only get there together. So I'm hoping, and I've seen it happen over the course of the 2 years that I've been attending the city council meetings and speaking. I feel like the community voice is growing and more people are understanding what's going on, and I think truth will come to light, and I'm just going to keep praying for that hope to continue.
Mr. Ricardo.
One of the best parts that I enjoy about campaigning is meeting people that you don't normally meet on a daily basis. And I can tell you this, that there are really good people that live in the city of Niagara Falls. And it's a good city. It's really a great city. And as Ms. Kimball pointed out earlier, you know, Niagara Falls is known all over the world. We got 8 to 14 million people visiting us every year here. People know Niagara Falls. They know it all over the world. And it's a city, you know, and the people tell me this, you know, we've just got to be better. You know, we have got to be better as a community, as a city. You know, we just got to do it better. We got all the reasons in the world to do it better, and people are frustrated that we failed. You know, we failed at that. But what gives me hope is the fact that we're all still here. We're all still fighting for the city, and I think we're going to make it. I really do. I think there's some good things happening now, and I want to see those things. I want to help push those things past the finish line.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the point in the forum now where we will give each of the candidates 2 minutes for a closing statement. We're going to ask you again to please respect the candidates and hold your applause or your cheers or your comments until they have all had the opportunity to speak. And then I promise you in about 10 minutes we'll give you all the time you want to cheer. Mr. Miles, we begin with you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Once again, I would like to thank the NAACP and the Niagara Gazette for hosting this, and I would like to thank everyone who came out tonight to, you know, kind of meet your candidates that's running. So for the last nearly 4 years, I've been fighting very hard to, you know, be a voice for the people and for people who have felt like they have been neglected, people who have felt overlooked for decades, and to let them know that you have a space in City Hall. So it helps my heart dearly when I see more attendance at City Hall, because come hold us accountable. You can't hold me accountable on Facebook, in my inbox, or in my email, or any other. You hold me accountable when I'm getting ready to vote on how I'm going to spend your tax dollars. I've said that hundreds of times. With that being said, I'm running a write-in campaign. So just so everyone knows, you will not see my name on the ballot. You have to write my name in, and you have to spell it correctly. That would be Dontamyles. That's just for those who are who don't know. And with that being the case, I thank you for allowing me to continuously serve, because the greater the title, the greater the service. At the end of the day, this position that I have doesn't make me. My thing is that I'm here to serve the people who elect me. You hired me to do a job. So I'm going to continuously ask the tough questions, the questions that maybe my colleagues may not want to ask. But at the end of the day, I care aggressively. And that's actually, if you think about it, that's actually a good thing. Because when it comes down to your quality of life, development in the city of Niagara Falls, and what your kids are going to have to live with, and their grandkids, if you have any, you will want someone to actually care. You will want someone to make sure that every question that needs to be asked is asked. So I'm going to continuously care aggressively. And in the event that you allow me to be just that person by coming and voting for me during these early voting and November 4th, I ask that I get your support on the write-in line. And I thank you again, NAACP and Niagara Gazette, and all of you that are here tonight.
Mr. Kitty.
Again, thank you to the NAACP and the Gazette for holding the forum. Thank you to everyone who is here and those that are sitting at home watching. Thank you to the fellow candidates that are here tonight. I bring that unique experience to running for city council because of my background and where I was with my jobs with the city. I don't know how many people over the course of their years that have the background that I had when they ran for city council. I believe it's an asset, not a detriment. I've had people tell me that it's a detriment because I worked for the city. No, it's an asset because I bring knowledge, and knowledge is power. I believe in working together. And sometimes you have to hold your pride in order to work together. I'm not one that believes because a Republican brings up an idea, it's a bad idea. Or if a Democrat brings up an idea, it's a bad idea if you're the opposite. I believe if it's a good idea, it's a good idea. And if it's going to move the city forward, let's move the city forward. I mean, we watch it on the federal level where there's just constant fighting. We have a federal government that's shut down right now because they just can't seem to get along. We don't need that in Niagara Falls. We need to work together. We want to move Niagara Falls forward, and if we're going to move them forward, we're going to work together. I'm sitting, my election spot is 2A on the ballot. I'd hope you would consider me, and if I'm lucky enough to serve, to be elected, I will serve with honor, pride, and dignity, and hopefully be the best councilman that you're looking for. Thank you.
Mr. Cawley.
Niagara Falls, this is a crucial election. It's crucial. 3 seats are up. We stand at the precipice of going up or going down. We had a nice guy run 2 years ago. I sat on the stage with a nice guy. He was a good man, but he got into power and he changed on the people. He started locking people up, banning people from speaking at city council meetings, changed the rules to go from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, silence people for laughing, for smiling. He was a nice guy going in, nice guy, but he changed when he got in. Niagara Falls, we just can't have that anymore. We just can't have that. And I'm not a bully, never will be. Not a mean person, never will be, never have been. But man, I'm real, man. This election is everything. This is everything to set up Niagara Falls for the next decade or two, to bring our youth, veterans, the city back. We can't have council people that's going to change on us once they get in and be persuaded by the mayor. Get into his lair, and next thing you know, they're doing everything he says, or even worse, like our current city council chair. That's not a personal attack. I'm just being real, man. I love John Kinney. I love John Accardo. Love Bridget Miles. I'm pretty sure you know she was a nice church girl. But we can't have these people coming in conflicted. The previous guy I sat on the stage with said, yeah, I'm going to go after him. And he turned his back on us. We can't have that. My name is Vincent Cawley. You can find me on lines 3B, 3C. I'm genuine, real, authentic. I only have one motive, and that's to make this city better. Born and raised here. Enough's enough, Niagara Falls. In case of emergency, break glass. Let's break glass of mentalities. Let's break glass of barriers. We can do this as a city. Let's do it.
Ms. Brown.
Let's do it. I love it. 4B, for Barone. I'm the Power Ranger. I'm the chameleon. I morph into any position. I investigate. Nothing slips by me, okay? They nickname me Super Sleuth for a reason, and I wear that proudly. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity this evening. I'd like to thank you all for being here, for listening to us. I lead with my heart. When you lead with your heart, you don't have to remember the lies. You don't have to read note cards. Okay? And people feel that genuinely when you can look someone in the eye and you can tell them the truth. No matter if it hurts, no matter if they like you for the decisions that you make, I'm okay with that, because as long as you lead with your heart, you can sleep at night. I may not have the experience as some of the other candidates, but I can tell you this, I will 100%, 110% wholeheartedly put every effort into doing the job the correct way. Whatever that is, and I will not make empty promises like all of the people before us, because we all know politics, they stink. I never considered myself a politician. I'm a patriot, and I work for the people. I will continue, no matter if I get a seat or not, to still show up, to still work with the community, and do whatever I can to make this city better. Thank you.
And finally, Mr. Accardo.
Well, again, thank you, Renee and Mark and Rick for coming out tonight and asking some really good questions. I thought it was a really good forum. This whole thing has been a lot of fun for me, and I really appreciate the fact that I'm here, and I still have the enthusiasm for the city of Niagara Falls. And I got to say that tonight I was really impressed with some of the answers that my fellow colleagues here on the dais gave, because I think everybody's got some good ideas, and I think the enthusiasm for moving Niagara Falls ahead is at its height right now. So I'm looking for good things in the future. When I started out in politics, in the early 90s, I was like Mr. Cawley there. I was all filled with vinegar and, ready to go. And that's the kind of attitude you got to have. You gotta go out there and you got to fight every day. It's a tough job. It's a thankless job sometime. But the 9 years I spent on the council were some of the best years of my life. And I would like to continue doing the work of a councilman, because I thought it was a great job. I think the city's worth fighting for. And if you like an underdog and you want to bet on a long shot, I'll work as hard as I can for you for the next 4 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Accardo. Ladies and gentlemen, beginning Saturday, you have the opportunity to do something that people around the world would just dream of doing. So we thank you for coming tonight. We urge you to go out and exercise your right to vote. And at this point, you may now celebrate the candidates on the stage. Thanks for coming.
Good job.